Good morning, UTLA family, students, educators, and parents who are joining us Friday, September 18th. It's been another heavy week as the wildfires continue to rage and impact so many communities. And September marks the 7th month of living through this global pandemic. What are you doing to find peace in this moment? For me, my son and I look for 40 minutes in the day where we can go bike riding and leave our cares aside, at least for the moment. So let's get to the updates. For this session, I have information on our fight against displacements, a big win for healthcare for substitutes, a great teacher-created resource for advisory, and more. Today is Norm Day, the day when LAUSD usually resets classroom rosters based on class size numbers. This can result in students moving to different classes and teachers being displaced from their schools. It's never a good thing, but this year, during the upheaval of an unprecedented pandemic and catastrophic fires, our students need more stability, not less. Superintendent Buettner can decide that no displacements will occur during this crisis. He needs to hear from everyone out there, educators and parents. That's our message to him, no displacements. We've set up an easy link to make the call to Buettner. It's at bit.ly/no displacements. There's talking points on that link as well. We'll put that link in the chat. Over the last 24 hours alone, more than 600 educators, parents, and community members have called Buettner to say no displacements. So let's keep the pressure up. Some LAUSD local districts have announced that displaced teachers can remain at their school sites, but we need no displacements to be a district-wide policy. Displacements are morally and pedagogically wrong at this time. They will throw educators and students in a state of disarray, causing a huge upheaval to their progress in the virtual classroom. Displacements are inequitable to Black and Brown students and contribute to increased teacher turnover in their schools. We can't have truly trauma-informed practices and focus on equity if the district is creating trauma and harm for our school communities through displacements. And other distance learning updates, we still don't have clarity from the district on breakout rooms and one-on-one sessions with students. Breakout groups and one-on-one assessments are essential elements of an effective crisis distance learning program. However, the district has refused, despite our repeated demands, to provide a written policy as to whether, how, and when ours should do either. As a result, we discourage you from utilizing these tools until the district acknowledges this issue and provides clear written guidelines for their implementation. If your principal insists that you do one-on-one, you should tell them it is your understanding that district policy prohibits us from meeting one-on-one with a student and that you're not comfortable breaking district policy. Tell the principal if they insist that you meet one-on-one with a student, they should provide you with a written directive to do so before you comply. Now on to some good news for our substitute educators. Substitute teachers have always been a linchpin to our educational program, and they are stepping up in new ways during this pandemic, handling split classes, running breakout rooms, and providing coverage so our special education teachers can work on IEPs. Substitute educators are invaluable, but many of them were facing a loss of healthcare coverage because they were not able to work the required number of hours last school year to qualify for benefits. Now, in response to pressure from UTLA, LAUSD has agreed to provide healthcare for this school year to substitute educators who likely would have attained eligibility if we weren't in a pandemic. And we'll put a link in the chat below to that great agreement so you can read the details for yourself. We are gratified that LAUSD did the right thing and recognized the critical importance of secure healthcare during this global health emergency. Once again, our union is our strength, and together we are stronger. There are so many distance learning concerns that come up on a daily basis. We get feedback from you, from staff, from parents, from social media feeds. We hear you. There are tough ongoing issues, and there's little in this pandemic that comes with an easy answer that applies most of all to the physical reopening of schools. Yesterday, New York City abruptly canceled plans to reopen campuses on Monday, acknowledging that the system had still not overcome all of the obstacles that it faced in bringing children back during the pandemic. We stand in strong solidarity with our sister union, Compton Education Association, or CEA. They want students, this is the district, to disinfect surfaces in the classrooms. Students and teachers not to wear a mask. And they're demanding that Compton educators return to school immediately. Stay strong, CEA. We are with you. Now, here in Los Angeles, the virus numbers are getting better, but we're still at the yellow level that indicates community spread is still happening. And we are not too far away from the orange level, which points community spread is at dangerous levels. LAUSD has made some inroads on the necessary testing and contact tracing, but there are still many other protocols that must be in place before we reopen physical school sites. This will take money, and help is not coming fast enough from the state or federal government. LAUSD's total additional expenses to restart physical schools could be nearly $250 million. This is just for the additional health monitoring, cleaning, disinfection, and personal protective equipment. It does not include measures to address increased need for mental health and social services for students who have experienced deep trauma. While some people may feel like things are under control with the virus, some of our students' families are being devastated by COVID-19. We have to grapple with the racial justice issues that are being left out of the debate. In LAUSD, we've known for a long time that the virus is having a disproportionate impact on the communities we serve, communities with high rates of poverty, and with Black, Brown, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islanders, and other people of color. Now, this week came horrifying data from the CDC. While very few children died from COVID, most of the US kids who died were Latinx or Black. The deaths have nothing to do with the color of the child's skin. They're tied to systemic racism that puts their health at risk by subjecting them to different living conditions than their white counterparts. Children of color are dying from the coronavirus because they live in the same household as adults who are more likely to be essential workers and exposed to the virus on the job. Crowded living conditions, food and housing insecurity, wealth gaps, food deserts, environmental issues, racial discrimination, and lack of access to care also play a role in higher rates of death in Black and Brown children. Racism, not race, is the reason for these deaths. Any push to reopen schools must be examined under a racial justice lens and with the goal of protecting those communities and children who are most at risk for being infected with coronavirus. When I think about resources to guide educators and engage students, I need look no further than what two UTLA members from Roy Ball Learning Center comes to mind. Guadalupe Cardona and Tiffany Wallace. These two scholar warrior educators are behind Community Couch Time, a video series designed to open up discourse on local, national, and global topics that are relevant but often go undiscussed. Every week, they record 3 videos to help students engage on important daily journal topics, such as ethnic solidarity, a passion for history, literature, and the arts. Each Community Couch Time is followed by a daily journal question to respond to as individuals or as students in a class. If you are looking for ways to make your advisory period more culturally relevant, check out the Community Couch Time playlist on YouTube. We'll put that link in the chat below. Crisis distance teaching is hard, incredibly hard. That's what makes innovative, impactful work like Community Couch Time so impressive. So many shining diamonds out there like Guadalupe and Tiffany. We see you, and get in touch with me so that I can feature you on Facebook Live as well. Hispanic Heritage Month began this week, and it runs until October 15th. I am proud to be a Black Latina and proud to be part of a union where educators are creating curricula that affirms and uplifts our students this month and every month. Because racial justice is educational justice. Time to take a good look at the calendar. We have 46 days until Election Day on November 3rd. 46 days to get Scott Schmerelson and Patricia Castellanos elected to the school board. 46 days to pass a game-changing school funding measure, Prop 15. Because of the pandemic and economic downturn, K through 12 education in California faces a $20 billion yearly shortfall. If you're an educator who lived through the Great Recession of 2008 and 10, you know the drill. Pink slips issued year after year to educators and the loss of thousands of jobs. We face that again as soon as this March if the state doesn't get a revenue boost. Students pay the ultimate price with higher class sizes, the loss of trusted teachers and staff members, and destabilized school communities. Proposition 15 is part of the answer to this crisis. By closing corporate tax loopholes, we could raise $12 billion a year for schools and services. But this means we're taking on big corporate interests like Blackstone, the world's largest private equity firm. Blackstone is responsible for Wall Street's takeover of the housing market. In the United States, the firm has become the largest owner of single-family rental homes in the country. Blackstone is responsible for the destruction and deforestation of the Amazon rainforest. Yeah, that Blackstone. In total, big business and wealthy corporate interests are funneling more than $7 million to oppose Proposition 15 because it will make them pay their fair share in taxes. We must fight back with the tools that we have, people power. We will win if we all commit to vote for Prop 15 and commit to campaign for Proposition 15. And when it comes to dealing with the funding deficit on the local level, the school board will be a big player. We can't have privatizers on the board who will weaponize the fiscal crisis to undermine public education. We need proven public education advocates, Scott Schmerelson and Patty Castellanos, who will defend our schools. We just got word that the opposition is spending big already against our school board candidates. Within the last 48 hours, Jim Walton of Walmart gave $300,000, and Bill Bloomfield, who spent outrageous sums to beat Measure EE, just funneled $200,000 to beat our candidates. We need to stand strong and not back down. We must take on the billionaires again and win. Like so many things in COVID reality, elections this year are not business as usual. We can't walk neighborhoods and knock on doors, the usual bread and butter of our campaigns. But our unique power remains the same. Educators having one-on-one conversations with voters. This election, that human contact is through our UTLA phone banks, happening every Thursday through Sunday. Haskell Steam Magnet Chapter Chair Jennifer Stroger says that if we want to see change happen, then we need to make it happen. Jennifer is a first-time phone banker. She'd never phone banked for UTLA before, and she's joining our phone banks because she knows every call gets us closer to seeing the change we need. Okay, so how do you sign up and join Jennifer? Well, go to lateacherschoice.org/campaign now to sign up for a shift or talk to your chapter chair. We'll also put the link in the comments below. We're asking every school team to phone bank, from home of course, for 4 hours in September and 4 hours in October. And I know it can feel like you don't even have 4 minutes to spare, let alone 4 hours. But you can divide that up, dig deep, and find the time. We are facing a historic budget deficit, and the chance to reclaim $12 billion for schools and services doesn't come along very often. Now, one of my favorite parts of these updates is highlighting amazing chapter chair leaders and CAT team members who are rewriting the rules of organizing and building power in our virtual world. So I'm going to start in the harbor area with Barton Hill. Chigusa Nakazono is the chapter chair and is pushing back on an ineffectual principle. She continues to use her cluster leader for advice and assistance. Continue to stay the course, Chigusa and Barton Hill. We stand with you, and I look forward to meeting with you and your staff very soon. Now on to West area. Aaron Baskin, chapter chair at LACES, Los Angeles Center for Enriched Studies, my alma mater, is keeping the faculty informed and updated on the issues and concerns happening around UTLA. And he also created red shirts for the members to wear during their faculty meetings. They're cute with the unicorn logo and the UTLA logo. I'll be purchasing one of those very soon. And now we move to something ugly that happened on Tuesday at a student-led rally at the school board to defund the school police and stop the criminalization of youth. Some of our UTLA members were there in support, and what they reported is appalling. A group of aggressive school police supporters came out in force, determined to shut the students down. Every time a student spoke, they shouted. Every time a student said their life matters, they drowned them out by revving up a motorcycle engine. Every time the students chanted, they turned up their music to cause disruption. The children continued to speak from the heart and share experiences and stories. even though you could tell that some of those students were scared. Some of our members had to form a human barrier to prevent the counter-protesters from rushing toward the children. Adults felt so intimidated by the police supporters that they walked to their cars in groups to feel safe. Now, folks, as a union, we're having hard conversations right now amongst ourselves about the defunding of school police and instead investing in additional staffing and health and human services for our students. No matter where you stand, we cannot support this type of aggressive tactics directed at our children, at our students, at our babies. Our Black students are asking us to value their lives and safety, and we have to step up in this moment. To wrap things up, I want to give another shout out to Miss Thornton for keeping it real with the kiddos. Giovanni is loving the adventures in your class, especially on HBCU, that's Historically Black Colleges and Universities, Field Trip Fridays. First was the Howard University and then Texas Southern, and I can't wait for today's trip. I saw this thought on social media and it made a lot of sense to me. This is not the year 2019, so let's not have a 2019 type of goals. Let's have 2020 goals. Safety, connection, mental wellness, physical health, maintaining relationships, connecting with one another. Educators, you're putting in countless, thankless hours to make your classroom run. Thank you for your resilience, patience, brilliance, and dedication. You are enough. We all are enough. Have a restful weekend. Catch up on some much needed me time, and know that UTLA stands with you. Stay UTLA strong, because together we rise.